What's up, buddy? Hey, question about your lightsaber. Okay. What is its function? Does it make sound? It doesn't make sound.
I don't think it makes sound.
Does it change color when you hit stuff?
It's just red. That's all.
One color.
Yep.
Charge circuit's good. Everything's good. The gold thing at the end. Fix that. But that's what's going on. I get worried. The batteries were discharged.
Thank you so much.
I saw the.
You're the only person I know who would be able to do it.
Who
I
was
mean,
it?
could you do it, Drew? Exactly.
I do what?
Exactly.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Exactly.
Tell me what I did. Probably good. Probably good. Now tell me what it is. Solder or wire? Really? Why did you do it? Solder because you don't have.
I mean, technically,
But I'm just saying, typically you don't have it, so you cannot do it. I actually have this stuff. Like,
Hey, Todd. Oh.
hey, hold on.
it's supposed to be on the door.
I forgot it's on.
got the VIN. You got VIN. That's good.
All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and get started tonight. I know this is unusual. We're starting sort of on time on a Wednesday night. The reason we're starting on time is because I told Drew that choir practice starts at 8 o'clock. So at about 7:59, I'm going to be tapping my watch so he'll wrap it up. So we want to give them proper time tonight. We have a special treat. We'll be hearing about the Utah mission trip presentation. They went on a trip. You say, gosh, I just heard one of those. That was from the last trip. This is from this trip. So another trip is taking place, and they're going to share with us the ongoing work of Art City Church and how they put on a Bible school there. And they're going to start us with something special. Before we get started, I have one announcement and only one, and it is critical. Please, if you could help us cooking beef or chicken for the stew, we need your help. We've got all of our refrigerators, all of our freezers, and 2 coolers right now downstairs full of beef and chicken. And here's what we need. We need folks to take it home, cook it, save the broth, because that is wonderful in a stew. So save the broth and the meat. Put them in bags, freeze them if you can at home. If you can't, we will try to figure that part out. But if you will go ahead and take care of that, and we need that back here before 5 a.m. next Saturday morning. So if you can help with that, please head downstairs after church, and Alita will be down there with Brian distributing that. But we desperately need your help on that because it's 360 pounds of beef and 350 pounds of chicken. We've got a little bit at home to cook, but I ain't got room to cook all of that. So if y'all will jump in, we would greatly, greatly appreciate it. I'm going to say a quick prayer, turn it over to them. Father God, thank you for this Wednesday evening in your house. Thank you that we get to come together and just fellowship together as forever family. We thank you for every single person here, God. Thank you for our visitors. Please help them to feel comfortable, welcome, and at home because they are in your house. I also thank you tonight that we get to hear from Drew and Colton about this mission trip that they've gone on and what they're doing out in Utah and what Kirk's got going on in Utah. And I pray that you'd continue to bless that mission in Art City Church. Lord, I also just pray that you'd be with every special need in this community tonight. There's so much happening. And Lord, we'd love to mention every name by name, but we just pray that you will take care of all of the prayer requests in our community, in our country, and in the world, because thankfully we know you know them all. Tonight, though, I do specifically mention Miss Nan Horton and her family. God, I'm thankful that Nan has peace, but I'm just praying that you'd be with their family at this desperate time of loss. Bless them in every way, God, and bless this evening and be glorified in Jesus' name. Amen.
How are we doing on this Wednesday night, Antioch? We're good? We're good? Awesome. Thanks for, thank you. Thanks for letting us, come and take over this Wednesday night. But I'll get into why this song is so special later. But we wanted to play this song that we led worship with over in Utah. So, yeah. Jesus said that if I thirst, I should come to him. No one else can satisfy. I should come to him. Jesus said that if I am weak, I should come to him. No one else can be my strength. I should come to him. For the Lord is good and faithful. He will keep us day and night. We can always come to Jesus. Jesus strong and kind. Jesus said that if I fear, I should come to him. No one else can be my shield. I should come to him. For the Lord is good and faithful. He will keep us day and night. We can always run to Jesus, Jesus strong and kind. Jesus said if I am lost, he will come to me. And he showed me on that cross, he will come to me. For the Lord is good and faithful. He will keep us day and night. We can always run to Jesus, Jesus strong and kind. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. To see you high and lifted up, shining in the light of your glory. Pour out your power and love as we sing holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. I want to see you.
Y'all didn't know I could twinkle the iris, did you? I am very good at hitting one note at one time. As Colton is putting some things up, we'll kind of get started so we can kind of keep with time. But for those that did not know, Colton, Jake, and I, we went to Springville, Utah. This is the first picture of our handsome group that went to Utah. So we went to Springville about the third week of July to try and do the idea was to do a VBS, to try to get kids in the community of where Art City Church is together, and to try to actually tell them about the real Jesus. Not what is being presented to them in their state, but the actual Jesus. So all three of us got up on, well, we left late, so it's not like we got up early. We kind of just hung around on a Saturday and decided to head out around 4 o'clock after the church, and we went to Utah. It was a great flight. It was from RDU to Utah. No layovers. Hint. Keep that in the forefront for the last picture of this slideshow. Anyway.
I took that photo.
Yeah. So anyway, so we left. We, again, thank you for your prayers and everything. If you want to go to the next one, and we'll just kind of go on. So this is the actual church. Well, the backside of it, because that's how you get to it. Basically, they share a building with a medical facility. They're in the basement. They have good relationship with them. They kind of share Wi-Fi and stuff like that. So the businesses actually doesn't mind that there's a church underneath it. They just kind of say, hey, keep it down when patients are here or something like that. But they have a good relationship. But that's the building. They're in the basement. Probably one of us probably should have taken a picture of the door. But, you know, it is what it is. Wow. So you could see where the door was. Why are you adding me on this one? All right.
Those are some birds.
I said those were birds. They were pretty. Very tropical in Utah. There we go. So we got there late Saturday. I think we arrived in Salt Lake around 10:30. We got to their church, which is where we stayed at, around 11:30 because we tried really, really hard to stop at In-N-Out on the way to the church because it's open late and we were hungry. But the line legitimately to go through the drive-thru and inside was wrapped around the building. So we were like, it's too late for this. We're going on.
Well, I would have waited.
He would have waited, and I was the one driving. So guess who won? Me. So we get to the church. We let Kirk know that we're there. He had left it kind of open for us to get in. So Sunday morning we worshiped with them. Now, I took these pictures, and the reason why I know I took these pictures is because I was sitting in the back. And the reason why I was sitting in the back is guess who ran sound for their church service said Sunday? This guy. Their sound, the guy that runs their sound got called into work, and Kirk was like, I said, what can I do to help? He said, can you run sound? And I said, if you show me what to do, I promise you I'll only mess up a little bit. And so, but it got a great opportunity for me to kind of give y'all an idea of the church. So there was probably around 20 people there that Sunday, which per the percentages of the area, that's a mega church. And you might be going, how is that? Springville is 89.9% LDS. So almost 90% of that area is Mormon. So if you've got a church, a Christian church with 20-some people, you've got a pretty big church. And it was really awesome. His two oldest right there, Andrew and Lana, they worshiped with, they played their instruments. One plays violin, the other one plays viola. You had Jordan in the middle on keyboard, and Kirk played the guitar. That was their worship. So it's a family kind of atmosphere and dynamic, and it was amazing. I'll let you kind of continue on with that thought process.
Yeah, no, like, I remember when I signed up late to Utah. And one of the first things I was told was like, oh, hey, they're children. They all play music. and even the ones who are like a lot younger, are at least learning to play songs and stuff like that. So I was, of course, really excited. I was like, okay, let's all get a band together and play. This was Sunday. As soon as I got in there, I just like felt the Spirit move. I was like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. And honestly, they're amazing. And I'm not just talking about like their musical abilities. Seeing them play, and especially the one worship night where we just played like 50 songs in a living room, and I just kept going. It was really amazing. There's something spiritual about it. But just to see younger people, see teenagers with that kind of like fervence and dedication to the Lord already, not only gave me a lot of hope for the youth, not only gave me a lot of hope for the gospel and the mission of Christ, but for the future of our youth. There are kids, there are people younger age who can like take this seriously, and that's what I saw from them. So yeah, Utah's in really good hands if they stay for a while.
You can go to the next one. All right, so Sunday.
That's me with Joseph.
So
Smith.
Sunday, we pretty much just hung out with Kirk and his family. We got done worshiping. We had lunch. In fact, I think we actually ended up going to In-N-Out on Sunday.
We did.
Yeah, highly recommend In-N-Out if you're on the West Coast. It's amazing. But so on Monday, we decided we were going to do kind of the tour stuff. So we went to Salt Lake to go to the Temple Square and stuff like that. And we decided we really wanted to go to this place called Shields. And if you don't know what Shields is, it's like a Dick's Sporting Goods and a Bass Pro Shop merged together. It is amazing. It is like my Graceland now. It is just like the greatest thing in the world. So on the outside of it, they had Abraham Lincoln. And so Colton decided he was going to take a picture with Honest Abe. And so he did. On the other side of it was I think it was Thomas, was it Jefferson?
Or was it? I just kept like making up who these people were.
Yeah, he kept saying that Abraham Lincoln was Joseph Smith, and I almost left him in like Utah for that comment. Go to the next one. And here's why Shields is amazing. That Ferris wheel is inside that building, along with a fish tank. And I should have taken a picture of the fish tank, but I didn't, because I'm still fascinated at the fact that there's a building with Ferris wheel in it. You can go to the next one. So when we leave the shopping experience, we go to the Temple Square. Now, these are pictures from this trip, but we showed you the convention center last time we were here. So I didn't really want to spend a whole bunch of time on it. For those that don't know, that's the pipe organ in their convention center. This convention center will hold around 21,000 people. They meet twice a year, sometime around April and sometime around in October. And the grand prophet, the guy that's pretty much running everything, will have his speeches and tell you basically what God has been telling him for 6 months. And then you're supposed to go and do whatever he says, because he's the prophet and he speaks with God. And so we just kind of got a panoramic of the second level. So that's where we're at right there on this side is the second level. There's a level above, there's a level below. And then that's the organ. I tried to get it zoom in because that picture does not give it justice. Agreed?
No.
And when it's played, is amazing. Like, I'm not like the biggest like organ guy. Like, I like certain organs, but they hear the talent that they have to play it. It's a beautiful thing. We were kind of hoping to make it to the actual old tabernacle, because every day at noon they play the pipe organ in the old tabernacle. They do kind of like a mini concert. It's amazing. Just to hear. If you love music, it's worth going to. Don't listen to anybody speak. Just listen to the music and be done with it. All right, you can go to the next one. All right, these pictures are not going to come out really well. So, do you remember this?
Yeah, this was like when you did the tour of this place, it was like So they had art from more biblical stories, like from our Bible. However, they also had a section of stories from like the Book of Mormon. Granted, the art was really beautiful. I did really enjoy the art. However, it has these different stories that aren't in our Bible. But yeah, it was really interesting to see. I loved seeing it kind of like all played out. Gave you a really good visual if you, like me, not knowing kind of much going in about their faith, their belief. Ooh, nice.
Yeah. All right. So the next couple of pictures are, so there was this room, and these rooms had all the stories of the Book of Mormon from the prophet Moroni and everything like that. And so what I tried to do is, I think it's just this one and one more. So there's a picture, and then there's the description of what the picture represents. And it's really interesting because we're going to see actual biblical artwork, but you're not going to see a plaque next to it. And their reasoning for that is because that art is donated and it gets switched in and out, and so they don't want to have a plaque next to it and have to switch that in and out. I agree with their reasoning. I also think it's baloney, to be downright honest too. They're going to focus more so on the Book of Mormon stuff compared to the Old and New Testament. That's their focus. And the reason why I know that is when you look at the history of the LDS church, what you're going to find is that when Joseph Smith got down on his knees in the woods to pray, he asked God, which denomination is correct? All these denominations coming out, which one should I be following? And then all of a sudden the angel came to him and said, none of them. Here's the Book of Mormon, basically. You need to start your own. So they view the Old Testament and the New Testament as corrupt. It's been corrupted over the years. It's a great guide, but don't go off of it. The Book of Mormon is the New Testament. So they have 3 testaments, basically. The Old Testament, the New Testament, and the Book of Mormon. And so when they speak to you, they're not going to quote Romans 8. They're going to quote whatever Book of Mormon book they want to quote, because that is the new. Mormon means modern. That's the New Modern Testament. That's what's more important. That's why that's what they're going to quote. So when we look at how they put more detail into the stories of the Book of Mormon and less detail into the stories of biblical times, we can understand that, all right, their focus is not necessarily on what the actual truth is, but what they believe is truth. Does that kind of make sense? Because, go to the next one. So this picture right here is in the Book of Mormon. I think it's in the Book of Mormon. It's in one of their books. What this picture represents, before Jesus ascended into heaven, he came to America and witnessed to the Native Americans. That is what this picture is depicting. Nowhere in Scripture are you going to find that, but you will find it in their book. That's the reason I try to get like this big like panoramics. Why it's kind of like, beautiful artwork. Don't get me wrong. It's amazing artwork, but it's their story. It's not truth. Go to the next one. Haha. It's my boy. All right. So,
Drew takes every selfie like this.
I do. So, you will not find a cross anywhere in the LDS. You will not find them at a ward. You will not find it at a temple. What you will find is Jesus. And you might go, well, that's not bad, is it? You read the second commandment, and I think it kind of is. But that is their focus, is Jesus. And you're like, well, that's not a bad thing. That is one of the creepiest things. I know it's like I'm trying to be like funny with it. Huh? But it's not all that great. They actually have a talking one that's in storage right now too. Like you would walk by it and it will actually like speak. How freaky would that be? You walking by and all of a sudden Jesus talk to you. You're like, it's like, and that's Andrew. That's Kirk's son in the back of ruining my selfie, but with Jesus. But that's the kind of thing. They picture the image of Jesus, and that's what they're going off of. But the problem is, and we'll get to it hopefully by the end of it, why that this is a big deal. You can go to the next one. So this is the artwork I was talking about. And I only took a couple of pictures of the more like Jesus-oriented artwork, I guess, or like biblical stories. I took this picture because this is almost like it is stamped, like metal. It's not, but that's what it looked like. When you got up really close to it, it was almost like it was hammered in. Because I thought it was pixelated. Have you ever seen the pictures where the artist will just dot everything and it becomes the picture that you're looking at? That is not what this is. It is almost like it's like hammered bronze kind of thing. It's just, I don't know. It's hard for me to explain, but it was fascinating to me. Go to the next one. This picture is the creepiest picture I've ever done in my life. Who has an iPhone? Just raise your hand if you have an iPhone. You know how if you're on a picture, right, it'll like pick up faces? That's how realistic that picture is. Like the lady down there, like at the very front, it was picking up her face as if she was a real person. It's like weird. Beautiful picture, just creepy. Go to the next one. All right, you know what that is? Yeah, but do you know what that building is? No. No. All right, so that's the old tabernacle. Oh, you weren't. Anyway, so that's the old tabernacle. That used to hold around 3,000 people. So you can understand the difference in what the new building, which is 21,000, compared to the old tabernacle, which was 3. But that's where they'll do like the organ concerts around noontime and stuff like that every day. But that's where they used to meet every year, twice a year, for their grand wizardry thing that they do. But I didn't want to say it that way, but yes. Anyway, but so we're on top of the actual new convention centers where we were when we took that picture. And all the construction work is going to make sense in a minute. But there used to be a building right next to it. They've torn all of that down. So the time that me and Glenn went to now, they've ripped up a whole bunch of buildings, and they're getting ready to build whole new buildings and stuff like that as well. Go to the next one. That's the original temple. The original temple is being earthquake-proofed. So when they built the temple, they built it out of granite, but they never really, so what they did is they took each block and they laid the block and went and got another block and put the block in it. So there's nothing in between the granite. And I didn't know this, maybe y'all did. The second biggest fault line in this country is Utah. So they're trying to make sure that their building doesn't fall down. And so we kind of went over this last time, but they've got engineers and they've built these like shake things that they're, Yeah, like big bobbleheads. They're like putting underneath it, so when the earthquake comes, it's just the building's just gonna go wee, and it stays fine. So, but that's what they're doing, and they're building some other things. I can't remember exactly what all they're building, but that is supposed to be done by 2025. And my plan is to be there when it's done because that's going to be open to the public. And then it's going to be closed off to the public within a certain amount of time. And I want to see it because I'm curious about a couple of things, and that will be the only real opportunity to see it because I'm not a Mormon nor am I temple worthy. But that's kind of what's going on in the temple square right now. You can't really get to the temple, but you can get to the tabernacle and some other things. You can go into some of the buildings that are still there right now. But the tour pretty much stayed this year, or this time we were there, with the convention center. So you can go to the next one. All Um, I didn't realize it at the time, but Brigham Young's house is in the Temple Square. And right before you get to Brigham Young's house, on the street is this like Eagle Gateway looking thing. I don't know what it is. It's just weird. People just drive under it all the time. But, their architecture is amazing. I don't want it to sound like they're just weird buildings. It's some of the most beautiful architecture I've ever been around. It's just a weird gate thing that you drive under on this street right next to Brigham Young's house. You can go to the next one. It's Brigham Young's house. See? Gate. Brigham Young's house. You can go into Brigham Young's house. It's historical. You can do tours or whatever. We didn't have time to do that, unfortunately, this year. It is on my to-do list. I'm curious.
I don't remember you taking any of these photos.
They're all my photos.
Well, some of them are mine. That's still what? Never mind.
I don't know what you were doing. All right, you can go to the next one. Okay. When I say they have beautiful architecture, this is the Joseph Smith building. That's the ceiling of the Joseph Smith building. You can go to the next one. And then there's a statue of old Joseph Smith. I feel like they made him a lot bigger than what he really was. Not in the aspect of height. I don't think he was that big. I don't know. But you can see kind of that wall right there is what the columns were made out of. It's just this beautiful. There's a guy playing a grand piano when we walked in. It's all snazzy. I felt underdressed. I was in shorts and a t-shirt when we walked in the wrong building. Yeah, I paid $4 for water so I could get my parking validated. I could either pay $10 to park, or I could go to this cafe and get validated. And I ended up paying $13 for stuff in the thing to pay for $10 parking. I got had. I ain't gonna lie. I was whoops. I didn't do the math real well. You can go to the next one. All right, there's a better view of the carpet, the columns, the banister kind of thing. It's just a beautiful place. When you see it, and it was funny. I got separated from Kirk when we were going down there. So Kirk parked on the other side of the Temple Square. We're over here, and we had to separate. And I got we're gonna get lost, and so. But yeah, just like I said, there are the detail that they put into their buildings is amazing. And go to the next one. All right, so this starts off Tuesday, and I'll let Colton kind of take over. I feel like I'm talking too much.
No, you're not. Yeah, so Tuesday we went before we really dug into our mission work, before we really started preparing a skit for the rest of the week, which I'll definitely talk about preparing that skit. But yeah, we did this little hike. It's really beautiful. There's just streams everywhere, so Utah's a desert, so it's super flat everywhere, and then it's these random mountains. It's not like here where the trees kind of cover up where the mountain starts. No, you can see where the mountain starts, walk up like we did. But yeah, so we drove out. The water is really beautiful. They're because it's so dry, it's a dry heat. You have to be really careful. You do not get dehydrated because you don't. It's hot, but it's not humid here where you're sweating on command. Sometimes you can't tell you're thirsty because of the dry heat, so you have to make yourself drink water. There was a heat advisory warning when we went out that day because it's still beautiful, but I don't know if it's in any of these photos, but you can see the trees had these burn marks on them from where fires had happened. Oh, is that it?
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, I took that one.
So
yeah.
It's really interesting.
It smelled burnt too.
You could still smell the burnt, and it burned last summer or something like that. It wasn't like a recent fire kind of mountain fire, I guess, because it's really not forest. But but yeah, you could still smell it. You could see it kind of all over. There's certain. I wish I had taken a picture of it. There was a mountain that we saw all the time when we were driving back and forth, and you could see the black on the mountain from the forest of the tree fires that were happening. And a lot of the fires are being started by like gunfire and stuff like that, exploding target stuff, because it's flat area. They can shoot for miles and fire.
However, also the weird thing about the weather there, just side note, we brought the rain with us. We were there 6 days, right?
Yeah.
So 6 days. It never rains in Utah. 4 out of the 6 days it rained while we were there. One day it poured. Like we were driving, and you could tell Utah drivers have never driven in the rain before, because as soon as it started raining,
they just slowed down.
And I were like going. Our car was leaking. There was water falling on my shoe while I was in the passenger seat. It was not. Yeah, it was scary.
Yeah, we had our fun. You can go to the next one. So that was the payoff on the hike, was this waterfall. And depending on the amount of rain or the snowfall, depends on how much that waterfall really will go. Kirk said that it was definitely lower, because that area right there where the water's running off, it's a lot deeper a lot of the time too. But just a beautiful hike. If you go to the next one, you can see, here's me and my selfie with the waterfall.
I told you, he takes all his selfies like this.
It's fine. Go to the next one. I think this was the next one. There it is. So Kirk and Jake went to, they call this the difficult side. I think the side I went up was quite difficult.
I did both.
He did both. I was worn out from the easy side, and I decided to stay and take a picture next to a waterfall. But you could see a lot more of the fire damage. You could see a lot more of the mountain from where Jake and Kirk are right there, and where a lot of the kids and Colton end up going too. And he can probably explain that side of it better than I can.
There really wasn't a path. There was just kind of like a tiny little walkway you can go on. So like the whole time, your knees are kind of bent the whole time because you're grabbing on the wall. And there was one point when we went the wrong way.
Yeah.
And then we realized we were just going further up the mountain, not closer to the waterfall. And we're like, okay, we gotta go back down. That was pretty scary, but we made it.
Yeah.
So.
And so we got done with that one. You can go to the next one, Todd. So we got done with the hike. We wanted to kind of see some of the natural beauty. Last time me and Glenn presented, we showed you a lot of like mountain views because we're in a valley. And I'm telling you, I've never seen mountains the way you see them in Utah. If you've been out on the West Coast, you probably, I've seen them before. It's not that big a deal. For a guy that's been in Roxborough his entire life, the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life. And so we got to kind of do some nature things that we weren't able to do the first time we were there, because it was November the first time we were there and it was cold. And I ain't hiking in the cold. But once we got back, it was time to kind of get going with VBS. And so this picture is for Colton. I'll let him kind of explain what is going on in this picture.
Wait, real quick. Was this before or after the arcade? And are those photos in here?
Those photos are not.
Okay, I'll explain later. But anyway, so we kind of had our work cut out for us this week because we had to do a whole entire skit. We had to make up the characters, the names, what was going on, do the props. We were up to like 1 a.m. Drew was up to 1 a.m. doing the props. I kind of went to bed, but sorry about that.
Lightweight.
But I was tired. But so like I said, children are really talented, and we all work together on the skit. The main idea of the skit, you have to, because since we're dealing with Mormons, and since we're dealing with these kids who they've heard this lingo, and I have some written down, so I'll get into it kind of later. But the lingo is very close to ours, so we had to make this skit like cookie cutter. This means this. This obviously represents this kind of thing. So we kind of made up this skit of like the trains. One train was going to a bad place. And one train kind of fell off a cliff.
Kind of think of like Pilgrim's Progress. Kind of.
Yeah, that was like our main source of inspiration.
Yeah, that's where a lot of it came from. You can go to the next one. We'll have to speed this up a little bit. So while we were writing the skits and doing certain things, on Wednesday, we decided we were going to go door to door in the neighborhood of where we were going to have the VBS and try to invite families, invite kids to come be a part of it. Now, this is Andrew and it's blurry. I can't pick that one. It might be Susie. They were with Jake.
Yeah.
Me and Colton were together. And it's ironic. Most of the houses that we went to had a sticker on every door. Anybody want to take a stab at it? No soliciting. Do you not find that the most ironic thing ever? They can come to my door, but I can't come to theirs. I need a sticker, yeah. And then I told Kirk about it. He's like, yeah, we ignored them. So next year when we come back, I'm like, bet. So anyway, go to the next one. All right. So I'm just going to go with this one. So I became lead prop guy. And so we tried to make one train really, really fancy. So I bought red paint, glitter, and yellow paint. So we put like a racing stripe down this one and had it all glittered up, made it look like racing stripes. This is all fancy and stuff like that. The next train, go to the next one. This is my work of art. So the next one was the old, because you're asleep on that one.
Why'd you have to use the one of me on my phone?
I just wanted y'all to see what he was really doing this week. Anyway, so this is me working on the old one. This was the one that was all like, so I made like each of the carts a different color, tried to put rust in it, made it look like it was just not going to make it to the destination. You can go to the next one, please. That's right. Y'all didn't know I could do any of that, did you? I made cardboard look like wood. With the help of the kids, Andrew and a couple others did some of it, but then they had to leave because it was getting late, and so I had to end up finishing it up. So I made the engine part black with some rust, got the wood going. Like I put so much work into this train that it became the better looking one compared to the one that was supposed to be the better looking one. My attention to detail was off. You can go to the next one. All right, so here we are in costume. So Jake and Andrew were on the fancy train. Jake was the evil conductor. Colton was the good conductor. I was the narrator and passenger for the skit.
I tried to get those overalls back, but they wouldn't fit in my luggage.
Yeah. Our costumes stayed there because there was no way we were getting them home. Go to the next one. I finally know what it's like to have a full beard. I felt good about myself. You can go to the next one. Colton is pondering things. All of this is on Thursday. This is the first day of EBS. We're kind of getting things together, getting ready to start with the whole shindig. Go to the next one. All right, so there was about 20 kids that showed up to VBS, which is amazing. Because like I said, 89.9% is LDS. So we had 20 kids, and only to my knowledge, 2 to 4. I think there was one family that had 2, maybe another one that had 2, were LDS. The rest of them were not. They were either part of Art City Church or they just showed up. That is an amazing thing because, and I cannot preface this enough, you get 20 young people to understand the true meaning of who Christ is, you can change that 89.9% to something far better. So it was just an amazing turnout for what was there for that VBS. You go to the next one. I had this picture. They were playing games. So the park that we were at was that view with that view.
That's what I kind of meant when I was saying, not like here where like the trees cover up like the beginning. No, you were like at the beginning and just kind of goes up.
So I can't remember what game they were playing, but I just had to take the picture because I tried to make sure I got the mountain in there because there's these kids playing, having fun, And then there's God's general revelation, that beauty of that mountain that was in there. It was just a awesome picture. There was a house for sale right at the park. And I'm like, you walk out the front door and you have this big open field where kids are playing in that mountain. I'm like, I'm moving to Utah. That's like, all right, go to the next one. So, again, this was just kind of the game area. You can go to the next one, Todd. Again, they're playing games here. Go to the next one. I know there's other. There we go. There's Kirk kind of opening up everything, trying to tell everybody what we're doing. We did music first. Did the opening part of the skit. So for 2 days, we had basically music, skit. Then they went to games, and they came back from games. Had lesson. Then from lesson to crafts back to having music and skit.
Yeah, that's why I chose to do a mashup of those songs. Those are the 2 songs we did throughout the week. They learned the main one we just did, but actually all of them knew Open the Eyes of My Heart, which was really awesome, having all those kids in one voice, unison, kind of singing along. So.
And they had motions for everything, like, which Open the Eyes of My Heart, I think, has always had motions, but the other song had motions too. I should have taken a video of the motions, but I didn't. You can go to the next one. So this is the music part. I don't necessarily think we got any of the skit because all of us were in the skit. So can't really see all of the details and stuff like that of the skit, but you can go to the next one. This is Friday.
Stop.
And we're tired.
doing this to me.
It's just one of those days. I lost my mustache. Andrew's mustache wouldn't stay on, so I had to give up my mustache so Andrew would have his mustache. I kept the eyebrows and the beard. You can go to the next one. Andrew with my mustache. You can go to the next one. All right, you can kind of see the setup for the 2 trains. And everything. The fancy train was actually behind the old and busted train. With the old and busted train, made it to its destination like it's supposed to be. You can go to the next one. Again, we're back at music with the VBS. You can go to the next one. I don't know where this one came from. Oh, this is music again too. This must be one of Jake's because he was able to get back there. So they rented the park for 2 days, so we were able to get that pavilion to where we could have underneath it. They could get underneath the shade if it got hot. And on Friday, it got too hot for them. They ended up coming back to where they could be near the water and stuff like that. Friday got really, really hot. Thursday was amazing because we had overcast, so it was warm, but it won't like the sun wasn't beating down on them. But Friday was just an amazing day as well. We ended up wrapping up everything. You can go to the next one, Todd. After everything was kind of done, and I'll let Colton if he really wants to speak on this one, because this was more his love than, I enjoyed it, but we just got together and worshiped with the Shoals.
Yeah, and as you guys know, worship is a really big deal to me, and also I love worshiping with you guys, and I love worshiping with the body of believers, and this moment was really special. Just a couple of Christians, a couple of instruments, and a bunch of really good worship songs that we were able to do. I think we named some off the top of my head. I think we did Come Thou Fount, we did How He Loves, O Lord, My Rock and My Redeemer. Oh, man, yeah. Is that one?
Yeah, we did that one. We did the one we just did here. We probably did 10. We probably spent an hour or so just worshiping with them, and we were all switching off on instruments.
Yeah.
I was playing the cajon at one point, ended up going to a guitar. Kirk and his son were switching back and forth off a piano. They were fighting for the piano, basically.
Yeah, they could play by ear, especially his son.
Yeah.
And then, but kind of backtracking a little bit, I remember stepping off. We were stepping off the plane in Utah, and you guys have seen me grow up in this church. You guys see me go to like different mission fields and present on things like Honduras and stuff like that. When my school went to Peru when I was in high school, but nothing felt like this. Nothing. I think as soon as I stepped off the plane, the first day, because I may have not said this the first day because I was tired, but Drew can attest. I felt spiritually sick. I felt spiritually ill, and it just felt like no other place I'd ever been. So to do this, to worship God, to be the light, to be like the city set on a hill in this area was something that was really awesome through the VBS, really awesome through this worship. And like I said, we were able to have some great conversations with people over there. We were able to spread the gospel, and we were able to share the love of Christ. Like, I think I definitely got the feeling when I touched down, this lady next to me started talking to me on the plane, and I was like, oh, well, I'm coming here on mission. And I said, I'm here on mission, something like that. And then, her growing up Mormon, she said to me, oh, are you coming back, like, from your mission or whatever? And I was like, oh, wait, she doesn't. It's not like here when you say mission and people know what you're talking. People, think like Baptist, Methodist, Christian, whatever. So, no, she thought I was Mormon. I was like, oh no, we're from a small Baptist church in North Carolina, and we're just coming here. She's like, oh, you're like flip flopping.
Touche.
But yeah, first moment I got down, we even from the moment of landing on that plane, I felt this spiritual darkness. I felt like what the devil had a hold on that place. Definitely, you can go more into like the darkness if you want. I don't know where you were going, but yeah, like things going on there.
So going to the next one, Todd, because there. So at the park, that's just another picture of the mountain. I can't help it. I had to put mountains in there. It's just my thing. You can go to the next one. So this is Lena and Andrew in a grassroots Irish band. During the cookout, which was community, they just got together. The other band members that they're playing with are LDS. But the interesting thing is that family has gotten so close to the Shoals, they are actually attending their church every now and then, which is a huge deal. And I put this in here as kind of one of the last things because I wanted y'all to see the talent that they have, but how they're merging into the community and not necessarily partnering, but they're in there and they're working with it and they're kind of going with the flow. But it was just an awesome time to kind of see the camaraderie that they have with everybody. And they know, that family knows that they're Christian, that they don't believe. Like I said, they've gone to the church.
Not being like of the world, but working in it.
But they're working in it. And it's just a fascinating thing. Because statistically, it is shown to convert LDS to Christianity takes 5 years. It's a 5-year process. So we're not going up there in a week and changing someone's life. What we're doing throughout this entire mission trip is supporting that family, encouraging them, and trying to get out into that community and tell that community about Art City Church. That is our job at Antioch for Art City Church. It is not to go up there and win Mormons to the Lord. It's not going to happen. Statistically, it's not going to happen. But when you have a family that's there 24/7 and is in there with them, playing, their kids are playing music together and doing the things, that is how you change someone from LDS to Christianity. So you can go to the next one. That's kind of like the overview. So we had the community thing. After VBS, we came back to the park. We had a cookout for the entire place. We were really inviting the neighbors of that area to come to the cookout. Yes, if their kids came to VBS, great. We wanted adults too. Got to have a great conversation with one man who was washing his trailer, fixing to head to South Dakota to pick up a truck because he got it like $20,000 cheaper in South Dakota than he could anywhere else. I'm like, do you? But it was really interesting. We found out that he grew up LDS. His wife grew up Catholic. you put that together real quick, because both of them require you to switch your religions to get married. And I guess we're like, how'd they do that? And I went, I guess they said the heck with it, and they just went to the courthouse. But yeah, it was just, we had great conversation. You go to the next one, because it's probably, yep, there it is.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So
This is my favorite photo.
So we're wrapping this up. If you remember the wonderful details of our flight home, you know that we spent 12 hours in the Atlanta airport because our flight continuously got delayed. This is about hour 10, and I'm just done. No, I'm actually talking to Shayna, going like, we should have drove. We would have been back 4 hours ago. And when I say this, I'm not exaggerating. They moved our terminal 7 times. No, it was 7. They changed our flight more than 7. They moved our terminal 7 times to a point when we finally got done. Jake took a picture of it. I don't think he sent it to me. That flight was sitting in the middle of the food court area, done moving. We sent someone to go, where are we supposed to go? And they finally told us where we had to go. And we ended up having to go to the international part of the airport to get home. It was, do not fly to Atlanta. I mean, it's just the worst thing I've ever dealt with in my life. But God's providence, we got home, everything's great. Now, because we're out of town, I want to make sure, if you have questions, we'll be outside. But what I want, this whole ordeal when it comes to the mission trip of Utah, it is not about trying to convert the LDS. We could be there for months. It's not going to happen. Could it possibly happen through what God can do? Absolutely. But statistically proven, we're not going up there to convert. Our job from Antioch is to be supportive of Art City Church. I talked with Kirk this afternoon. He wanted y'all to know how grateful Art City is and the Shoal family is for our support that we give financially and for what we do when it comes to these short-term mission trips. The ability to go and encourage their work, it is an amazing thing to do. And that's what we're there to do. We are going back next year. They do not have the ability to take 20 or 30 people. The mission trips have to be small. But we're looking at going back in July. I was hoping to go back in December, but some things have kind of happened. That's not going to be able to take place this year. But my hope is to do this trip more than once a year, one in the summer, one in the winter, to try to get out there and to do whatever we can to actually support this church, because the work that they're doing is important. So be in prayer. We don't have a date set. It looks like it's going to be July again this year, but be in prayer. See what God has in store for you. I know I'm going back. I'm pretty sure Colton's going back. I'm pretty sure Jake's going back. Jake went with us. Jake was under the weather and couldn't make it today. But I'm pretty sure I can speak for him. He's probably going back too. Huh? Yeah. Okay. So be in prayer for that. Hopefully we'll have dates soon. But I have some material up here you can go through. I have the Book of Mormon. Actually, I have the quad, the 4 books together if you put all that together. And then I have some pamphlets. One thing that I meant to mention, and I got to do this, and I know we're out of town, and I want to give you your shot. We went to a bookstore on Monday called Lighthouse Bookstore. It is run by a lady named Sandra Tanner. Her and her husband defected from the LDS and became Christians. Her husband passed away in 2006. She still runs that ministry. There was a replica of the golden tablets made out of lead in her building. The story goes that when Joseph Smith found the golden tablets, people were running after him because he had a thing of gold. So he puts it in a backpack and runs down the hill for 3 miles. I picked up the lead replica, which was 110 pounds. Gold is heavier than lead, so I'm calling shenanigans. Ain't no way. He ran 3 miles with that in his backpack. They said that it was written on gold because gold would last longer than paper. I call shenanigans on that. We as Christians have from 125 AD, a credit card size of the book of John. If it's from 125 AD, that's pretty old, and we can still read and know that it's from the book of John. So don't give me that gold lasts longer than paper. It does, don't get me wrong, but that's bleh. So anyway, there's just a lot of stuff that doesn't add up. Again, we'll be outside if you have questions or anything you want to talk with us. But this is some of the books came from her building or her store. We wanted to try to support and stuff as well. So you say the last thing, and then I'll turn it over, and you can pray, or I can pray, or whatever. All right.
Yeah. Just to kind of reiterate some of the things Drew said. It'd be really awesome if we can get a bigger group of people, bigger group of Christians to go there, because it is something that's really important. And I just wanted to, I wrote this in my notes when we were at the conference center, right? That's what they call it. Yeah, when we were at the top of the conference center, I was looking out on all of Utah. I was looking out over all these mountains, God's glorious creation. And I felt my heart sinking. I felt my heart break for, like, the things I was hearing. And just the severity of, like, that they do need the gospel. So me, if you can picture the scene, me looking over this vast mountain, this vast desert. And I think this is honestly why they need us the most. They need the gospel. They need the truth of Jesus Christ. So I remember writing in my notes that on that day, July 23rd, I haven't changed it since then. So wait, that was it, right? Yeah. Maybe I did change. I don't know. But anyway, I said, that which breaks my heart the most is not the absence of understanding, but the absence of truth and beauty which breaks me. In fact, it's the fact that they are so close to the surface of true beauty. The very fingernails scratch the surface of truth. That is why we must be consumed by the Father, by Christ, by the Spirit. For even an inch away from God, a second away from His truth, it doesn't matter how close you are, that's still an eternity in hell. And I think that's why we need more people. That's why this world's not good. It's very far from it, but I'm glad we have a God who loves us, and we have a God who gave us His gospel to go share it. So that's all I have.
Their big thing, and this is the last thing before I pray. The whole idea for the skit was was Christ sufficient. They don't believe Christ is sufficient. That's the reason why having Jesus in the temple makes no sense to me. Because it's not what Jesus' atoning work on the cross did. It is what Jesus' work on the cross did plus what I do. And that is not it. And so the skit's design was about Christ's sufficiency. Is Christ sufficient? That is the question. If He is, then you don't need to worry about works. If He's not, then we're all in trouble. So I'm going to pray. Thank y'all again for listening to us. Again, we'll be outside if you have questions, if you want to learn more about the possibility of going next year, come see us. But Father God, Lord, we thank You so much for this day. We thank You for a chance that we can be in Your house. We thank You for the work that You are doing in Springville, Utah. Lord, we're so grateful for the relationship that we have with the Shoal family and with Art City Church. But Father, I pray, Lord, that You will continue to watch over them, protect them, help them to understand that they have a long, enduring race. But Father, help us as a church 1,900 miles away that is able to stand with them and give them support and understand that they're able to finish that race strong. But Lord, bless them, watch over and protect them. But Father, thank You for the work that You are doing. And I know if Kirk was here right now, he would say it's not what I'm doing, but what You are doing. But Father, You are opening doors left and right for them. So Father, thank You for what You're doing, and may Your gospel and Your word come back so much stronger in that town that You will do a mighty thing in there. So Father, thank You for everything that You're doing. Bless this time. Be glorified, and may Your will be done. It's Your Son's holy and precious name. Amen.
Amen. Y'all don't forget me if you can help us with that and give these guys a hand.